Hi there, this is Erica DELSIGNORE, and I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and you are watching Great Minds, Great Marketing. This is a video series of interviews that I have come up with to help everyone learn from other entrepreneurs that have had fantastic success with marketing and learn from some of their mistakes as well. And the people that I interview are extraordinary. They come from a lot of different walks of life. Their stories about getting into their businesses are usually amazing, and they're very open and honest about some of the I guess challenges that they've had to overcome when getting into business. So today I am so excited. This is one of my favorite guests. Kellie Hill is the owner of The Right Plan, and she is a best-selling author and TV personality. She's been on TV over 50 times in the last 2 years, and she's a nutritional therapy practitioner. And she also used to have a radio talk show called Eat Well to Live Well, and she was doing that for quite a while. So I know there's a lot that she's going to tell us about how she started her business, how she gets on TV so many times, how she uses that in her marketing to catapult her brand and her company and her own celebrity in order to increase revenue and clients for her company and be an incredibly successful entrepreneur. Kellie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm excited. Let's get going.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, let's start just talk about you personally. We're going to talk about business, but I like to have the audience see, what are you like outside of work?
Gosh, I don't know. My husband would probably have to answer that. Is there an outside work? No, there is. Of course there is. Entrepreneurs, we work really hard to not have a job, for the most part. So, no, I'm kidding. What do I like to do? I like to read. I read a lot. I used to scuba dive a lot, but now I had a kid, and that I got to wait till he's a certain age before we can put him in the water like that. So mostly I do him. I'm a mom, so I am the taxi driver, the costume maker, the helper at the school, all that, whenever there's downtime from the business. So I have to admit right now, not necessarily a good thing. I don't have as many of my own personal hobbies as I used to. They'll come back, of course, when he's a little bit older, but right now that's pretty much the priority. But I know you understand that.
Oh, absolutely. I don't get to ride as much as I used to, for sure.
Oh.
Horses.
Yes, yeah, I knew that. I guess maybe everybody else didn't, though.
Ride my motorcycle. I got the hog in the garage. No, that's not me, but I wish it were. Much cooler person that way. Well, good. I mean, that's what you have to do at this stage of life, and I'm sure that you find I find that it's a new kind of fun for sure.
It's definitely different, but it's, I think, especially because I'm a little older now in the world for what I do, and so the fun thing is I've seen myself change from my 20s to my 30s to my 40s and now going into my 50s. Every decade has its own Kellie, and I think it's okay. I mean, I never feel bad about the fact that that's a constantly changing evolution, just as the business has constantly changed and evolved as I've changed. And I think that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. We can change. If we don't like the direction, we can write it ourselves and change it, rather than going in and day out to the 9 to 5 and having somebody else tell us. So it's never boring.
No, hey, every day is the first day of the rest of your life.
Yep.
Well, good. I would love to hear a little bit about your history, because as I understand it, your whole life is nutrition, and you have a very interesting life story as to how you got into that. But before you got into nutrition, you had a McDonald's franchise for many years, and a couple other businesses. I mean, I know you're a serial entrepreneur. Tell us about how that evolved.
So I had quite a few jobs in the business world before I took my big first leap, and I bought a 7-Eleven franchise, and then two, and So I was the queen of convenience food for a long time. I did that for about 5 years, and then I met the man who's now my husband, and he had McDonald's restaurants. And so we were both working 20 hours a day basically between the 7-Eleven and the McDonald's, and we had literally some of the exact same employees or had the employees, and I was like, let's consolidate. So we looked at the P&Ls and decided that McDonald's was a better option, and so I came over, I sold my businesses and came to work technically for him, and then became my own owner-operator, went through the process, and so we had 3 McDonald's restaurants together, and I did that for 10 years. We worked side by side for 10 years, and honestly, I love my husband, but there comes a point where working together day in and day out is tedious.
I was just going to say, I mean, you must really like each other.
We do, but we really got to the point where we had to set some incredible boundaries, like, it's 7:30, we no longer talk about work. And when we first started doing stuff like that, then we would look at each other like, okay, we have nothing to say. And we thought, okay, this is, we hit that point where we decided, it was really time to find something else to do. And I'd always loved nutrition. I had always been busy with it in the background, very particular about what my kids were eating, what we were eating, not saying that we never ate the fast food, but trying to make it as healthy as possible. And it got to a point where literally one of our employees came to me and said, you're kind of messing up our system. You pay me to get a customer through, and it's technically 3 minutes and 30 seconds they're supposed to get through. And he said, but they're coming through and asking for you and asking how they're supposed to change something to make it healthier. This isn't what McDonald's is all about. And it really dawned on me that he was right. It isn't what that business is about, and
Right.
It's time for me to move on. So I went back to school, got a couple more degrees, and then started the Right Plan, and I've been doing that now for 7 years.
Wow.
I just stopped thinking about it. So, and I've loved it. It's been wonderful, very rewarding. I enjoy it.
Oh, that's incredible. And I would love, if you don't mind, sharing the story with how this has helped you and what your story is with health and how you are really a miracle in the doctor's eyes.
Well, I'm at least an anomaly, if not a miracle. So, I was in this business, and about 5 years ago, I started having really bad palpitations, and I couldn't breathe. And there's a really long story. I won't get into it in this case, but if somebody's interested, they can go to my website, The Right Plan, and there's all sorts of videos about what happened to me over the next 5 years. But I ended up having 2 heart attacks, bypass surgery, and 2 strokes. And they really have no idea why. They still don't. In fact, let's see, next week I'll be going for more academic testing, if you will, because they still don't know. They have no idea what's happening. They know it's something in my blood, but other than that, they're really unsure. What they are sure about, and what became a platform for me, is that if I hadn't been as healthy as I was, if I hadn't been eating those foods and understanding my own body, I'd be dead. I was able to argue with doctors about my own health because I knew it inside and out. And I looked at that after I got healthier and I felt like I could really understand, and investigate what's happening. That's when I found out that we're losing 1 in 3 women to heart disease, and a good portion of it is because we don't know the symptoms. And
Wow.
they tried to send me home. They kept saying there's nothing wrong with you, your ideal weight, you don't have diabetes, you have no family history. I mean, all the little boxes that they look for to check off, I didn't have any of them. And so they tried to send me home, but I knew my body so well, I refused to leave the hospital, and it saved my life. And
Wow.
now learned, and where my platform now really stands, is the fact that it is that healthy eating that allows us to know the difference between heartburn and heart attack. And so it wasn't the path, but like I was saying, you change the path as you age. I mean, I never thought I would be talking heart health and advocating for the American Heart Association and Go Red for Women. I mean, it wasn't even on my radar when I
Wow.
started nutrition, but it's been amazing, and I feel like I've now been able to give the biggest impact and still talk about what I love. So the business flows, ebbs back and forth as we change. That's the beauty of being that entrepreneur. So it's been fun. It's been scary, but it's been a lot of fun
Right.
to find that path.
Well, now you're able to take what your own personal experiences are, and you can share them with the world. I know that that's one of the things you've devoted your life and your time to now, is really educating people on how to live healthy, and so that's a wonderful transition here when we talk about how do you get the word out? How do you make sure that you help as many people as possible? Typically, the question I ask is, what is a combination of marketing strategies that get your business up there and noticed? And you're probably one of the only people I'll interview that's been on TV so many times.
Well, I think the first thing I always tell people is what they really have to do is they have to focus in. They have to decide what it is they really want to do. I think as entrepreneurs, and I do this myself, it's so easy to, oh, there's a shiny thing over there. Let's go that way. And we go to these great meetings. Well, and you and I were just talking about it. We hear all these great things from lots of people, and it's easy to get sidetracked and go, oh, I could do that, I should do that, oh, this sounds good, I'm going to follow.
Right.
And they're all great techniques. The thing is, we really have to focus. You've got to figure out what is your path and not go haywire all over the place. And then once you figure the focus, really putting in the work. I think that's the difference between the entrepreneurs that make it and the entrepreneurs that don't. Is there's a belief out there that as entrepreneurs, we come into work a few days, maybe a few hours, we're sitting at home doing our own thing, and the checks just magically roll in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it doesn't
That's
work
what
that way.
happens.
I've had people tell me that, they're like, oh, it's, that's so easy for you. And I'm like, you have no idea how many hours it took to get there. So I always tell people that's really the next thing, hard work. If you're not interested in working twice as many hours as a regular job, you're probably not going to be an entrepreneur. Then take the other job, go to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or whatever it is. Take your weekends and enjoy them, because as we were talking, as entrepreneurs, we don't do that. We're up at weird hours. We work, around our family schedules. It's insane. It's crazy. And so I always tell people that's the second thing, is really you got to put in the work.
Mhm.
Nobody is going to magically find you on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. I mean, it's so rare. We hear it. It does happen, but that's not usually the case. If you
Yeah, I
know.
mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you get to pick which 80 hours of the week you get to work.
Right, exactly. And it's funny sometimes, because and you probably know, we know a lot of people in this business, and when you really ask them those questions, what seems like they magically appeared overnight out of thin air is
Years.
hours and hours and years of work. And that's the piece I think people don't really understand sometimes if they haven't done it yet. So I always tell, focus it in, do the work, and then pick which path is marketing best for you. As you said, I've done a variety of them. I did the radio show, I wrote a book, and there's all of these are okay methods. There's no one right way. It's what is best for you. If you're a great writer, write a book. If you like being in your pajamas sitting at home, then do podcasts. It's fabulous. If you like being on air and putting your makeup on if you're a woman, or a tie if you're a man, then the webcast, TV, all of the so I think any of them can be the right way. It just depends on what you like. And I went through all those, and there's parts of them I liked and parts that I don't. And what I found I liked the best was TV. I
Yeah.
love the fact that I can really show up for maybe half an hour at the tops. It takes me a little time to put some makeup on and make sure I look reasonable, but it's not as much work for me as the podcasts or the writing and stuff like that. And
Right.
I get to walk in, shine. I hit a lot of people with the information. Yeah, they don't always, come to my website or find me after that. But for me, making that impact is the biggest part. So everybody's just a little different in how they find it, but whatever that focus is, then just, 100% balls out, follow it, and that's the thing that I think will make almost anybody successful.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's great. So do you have any tips on how people can get on TV? I know that you've been doing it for quite a while and you've got a system around it.
Well, yes, and I've trained with people, so I will first of all say that nothing I've done on my own. I hire coaches to help me get where I want to go. So I think that's a very big deal that the most successful people recognize. You have to have
Yeah,
somebody teach you. Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm not an expert in everything I do. But I have to go learn it, or now I'm at a point where financially I can hire those people. But for a lot of years that wasn't the case. I was doing it. So when it comes to the tips, it really again depends on the focus. For me, because TV's mine, my coach taught me to basically get on the phone and call and call and call. And again, it's that putting in the work.
Mentioning about how you've never done anything without a coach.
Right. Yeah, I think that's super important to really understand for people is nothing that's ever happened for me or for most people do we do on our own. We look for the people that can teach us, and we absorb as much as we can of that. And every piece that I've done, from large presentations, keynote presentations in front of 1,000 people, I have a coach help me with that and make sure, I'm not making this up on my own. I wish to be that brilliant, not there yet. So someday, but not yet. So when the TV piece was that, I hired a coach to help me with that piece, because this is something I wanted to do. And the very first thing is that hard work. We focused in, we wrote some segments that I felt would be really good. I got on the phone, and right there with my coach standing by my side, he listened, and we started at 5:30 in the morning, because I'm on West Coast time,
Right.
making phone calls. And it was one cold call after another, and I think I called like 118 people. It was something outrageous. I actually have it written down.
Wow.
And I got not one of them said yes. It was 100% no's. And those are the things that and then you go back, you focus and you put in the hard work. And the next day I got up and I made the calls again. And eventually somebody says yes. Either you annoy them enough, or you find the thing that really matches what they're interested in. And so I did a lot of my first segments away from my home, because I didn't want anybody to see me mess up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look back, and those first ones are not very good, because again, you're learning. And then my coach would go back and he'd look at it with me and say, change this, do that. You didn't smile enough here. You didn't use your hands. Whatever it was, he would go through all of that with me, and then go out and do it again. So it's a lot of, I tell people it's really like a football game. If you're a sports fan, it's like a football game, or any sports. You do the work, and then you go back and you evaluate it, and then you go do it again, and each time you get better and better. And so for me, really that first step, that tip, is to just go do it. Just pick up the phone, start calling, know that the chances are slim. I mean, please be the person that makes the first call and gets the yes. Love it. Would love to see it. Just know you may be 200 calls in before you find somebody to say yes.
I am an expert cold caller. The numbers are, you get one appointment per 100 dials typically. But in TV, it's different. You really, like you're talking about when you first started out, you had no experience. You had nothing to show the producers. Now you have sizzle reels of all of the
Now it's pretty easy. If I happen to be in a town for any reason, I usually can get on TV, as long as I have something relevant to say, obviously. But again, it's back to that focus, and do the work. It's not like I get to just walk in. I'm still making those calls, or, Now I have people do that for me, but you know, somebody will be calling and saying, hey, you know, Kelly's going to be in town. We see you have, you know, this heart walk coming up. Would you like her to come in and talk about it and help promote it, or whatever it is? But
Yeah.
that's now yes, now it's easy, but it wasn't easy a few years ago. Yeah, we all
Totally.
hope to get to this spot.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I'm glad that you have because I have to say one of my first impressions of you were, we've gone to several events, several of the same events, and
Yeah.
I remember one of the events you're like, oh, I had to come in late today because I was just on TV. And I'm like, what? Who are you?
Well, but see, that is all part of the benefit of, you know, that I was in that area. And so I just picked up the phone and I called and that, I think that was the Fox News station. And I said, hey, I'm going to be in the area. I see you have blah, blah, blah going. Would you like me to come in and talk about it? And they're like, sure, do that. And so why not? Now all of a sudden a conference I was going to for one reason becomes, you know, multiple business avenues, and it does open up, you know, the doors to, you know, to a lot of people by just saying, oh yeah, I was late because Fox needed me, you know, or
Yeah,
whatever it was,
exactly.
you know.
It is so true. And because of you, and you and I had you were so kind to give a generous hour of your time, just talking me through how to do it, what I should do. And, just last month I was on TV twice, and I was on once in the fall as well. And, I now I post those all over social media because that's what we do. And I have people emailing me, wow, I didn't realize you were doing so well. And like,
Isn't
I
that great?
guess does that
But
mean
in fairness, since we are talking marketing, I want to make sure that that was kind of a quid pro quo in the fact that you had helped me because I knew nothing about LinkedIn. And
oh my
so you looked at my page and said, oh, you could do a lot better. And I was
God,
posting in the wrong spot and all this stuff. So again, you know, that is also the benefit as you work with people. You know, you can each raise each other up to new levels when you don't put those walls up and say, oh, you know, we can't help because we're in business together. It's not. You work together. Oh, so much more can be accomplished.
well, that's what a mastermind is, right? So everyone
Yes,
there at these conferences is looking to share ideas, and even if it's crazy, like sometimes you can even work with your competition depending on
oh,
what the
definitely.
situation is, and on the if you're really looking at your niches, who are you really going after? And I know that's like a big thing. So that's great. That's really great advice about TV. I think and even when you're on the shows, you meet the other people that are doing guest spots, and you're like,
Mhm.
wow, they've got a person talking about Reiki today, and they've always got somebody cooking, and they've got somebody talking about, what you should do to focus on your goals for the new year, and that person is really a counselor, and it's very, very interesting to see that they have every walk of life on these TV shows talking about their expertise. So I think that's fantastic that you've got a great topic for it too, because everyone wants to lose weight or be healthier, and they love hearing the success stories that you have. So I think that's awesome.
I love it. Can't complain. And it certainly has built my business.
Exactly. So now we've been talking about how it's taken a long time to learn and get things going. What are some of the best courses and books you've read on entrepreneurship to get yourself going?
Well, okay, this is probably a really bad answer, and I'll totally admit it, but at my age, I've been through so much business training that
Mhm.
I don't really read about business anymore. I have a tendency to read more about my actual work, you know,
Right.
because there's always new nutrition information coming out, and so I have a tendency not to read anymore about business. And so I'm trying to think, you know, who did I read in the beginning? And I honestly don't know. That's so far back. You know, obviously I took a lot of business courses because
Sure.
you do have to learn. But I was very, very fortunate, and this is one of those, you know, grace of the world. I was raised in a family of entrepreneurs. So my parents had owned multiple businesses. So I was before I ever went to school, I was learning about monthly inventory and counting. You know, I could barely count, and I'm counting all the inventory. And so you know, I had a lot of weird jobs growing up because my parents were already business people. So it was so common to sit around the dinner table at night and talk about, where the P&L statements are, which employees are working and which aren't, how that conversation's going to go when somebody isn't doing their work. So there was all these pieces that I don't know, I never really read a book about it because I lived it firsthand for pretty much all my life.
Wow. Well, I mean, that is definitely fortunate. Not everybody has that experience, but it's great that you've been able to learn from them. And hey, you know what? Sometimes people grow up with it and they don't learn anything. So,
no, and the thing is, once it is a learning piece. So, I mean, whether you learn it from a book or from, just jumping in and having a mentor, people joke to this day about when my husband and I met and we were in a large group of people and he sat down next to me and said, "Oh, you're the lady who owns the 7-Elevens." And he said, "So what's your food cost on FCB?" Which for 90% of the world, that they have no idea, and all of a sudden we're talking about food costs and how, what he's getting at McDonald's versus what I'm getting at 7-Eleven, and what the percentages are, and that's just a natural discussion, for us, which, of course, everybody at our table looked at us like we don't even know what they're talking about. Some sort of secret language going on down there.
Yeah, right.
That's how I knew he was the one. He can talk my language. So, but those are all, everything about business you can just learn. I mean, nobody's born with, talking food costs.
Exactly.
In my case, I was raised with it, but it's just a learned thing. Everything can be learned about business. So whatever missing piece somebody has, go find that book. There's millions of great books out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what do you think is the up and coming thing in your industry?
This is going to be interesting because we're seeing a lot of changes with the FDA right now as to what they're requiring for labeling, and a lot of those changes were made with our last administration, and we'll see if they continue this with this administration. It looks like they're probably going to, but everything's so new right now, and a lot of the nutrition world is based on what Congress decides to say yes and no to. So it'll be interesting to see. I did a number of spots at the end of last year about the changes that we were expecting, and of course now I don't know. Will they still go through? Time will tell. So I think most of what we're seeing, though, is really positive on the front. People are trying to get healthier. We're just now at the point where how do we define healthier? And that's a whole conundrum in itself, depending on what part of the science you look at. So the nice thing is my job will always have security because we continue down that path of needing healthy options and having a lot of disagreement about what that is. So I feel fortunate that my job will probably not disappear anytime soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a complicated world we live in when it comes to nutrition, and if you look today, there's a lot less healthy people out there because we are eating so many processed foods, and back in the olden days, they were eating real butter and whatever they wanted, really, but nobody was dying and having all the health issues that we have today. Childhood obesity, all that stuff is so prevalent now, and it's so scary. So I'm glad that we do have someone like you helping us out. Let me make sure that I hit everything. I do I do want to make sure that we know how to find you, and I know that you had a couple of things you wanted to point us to as far as an offer for the audience, if something that they can look at, and also your your website or your book or whatever you want to promote.
Well, I think really the best place for most people to start is with the website, therightplan.com. It's RIGHT plan because it is the right way. So, if they go to therightplan.com, most of my stuff is completely free there. Thousands of recipes, everything you need to know to start getting healthy, blogs, videos, pretty much the whole shebang, and I do all of that for free. I do answer my emails. All the contact information is on there as well. As far as a fun starting point when I was thinking about this, because I don't necessarily, of course, have a marketing thing to give to people. But we do have a fun quiz. We just finished it. It's barely been out. It's called, it's at therightplan.com/cravings-quiz. And it was kind of just a fun thing that we were playing with a little bit, because one of the things that we've really learned is the type of cravings people have help us determine how we can get them healthy and what's happening biochemistry-wise in their body. And so we decided it would just be fun if we could come up with like 10 questions to help people identify what foods they could add right away and what foods they possibly could decrease right away that would help them get rid of their cravings. So it was just, it's just fun. It just gives somebody the basic information. We were just having some fun with it, and cravings are one of the huge identifiers for the type of body somebody has. And so we have that there. It's free. It's therightplan.com/cravings-quiz, or you can just go to therightplan.com, and there's, like I said, tons and tons of stuff there. I actually got an email the other day saying, I can't find your jerky recipe, and then about 10 minutes later, before I even got to it, same person emailed back, never mind, found it. So, people are using that website all the time as their primary reference for recipes and health. And so I'm very honored and grateful that people choose to follow.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had recipes there. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Please. Yeah, I post 2 recipes a month, and I've been doing that for years. So I don't know. I don't even know how many. We were looking at changing formats, actually, marketing behind the scenes there. We were looking at changing formats, and there's so many recipes on there that the tech person looked at it and said, no. You may save whatever it was per month, but it'll cost you, basically the same amount to transfer all this information into a new format. Stay where you are. So, things that we're talking about, but I had no idea actually how many recipes are there. But we try and post 2 every month, new things of all interest. So I think the last one was pumpkin curry, if I remember right. So. Fun stuff.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic find for them if they go check out your website at therightplan.com. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure. I know my audience is going to really enjoy the tips and the information that you had about getting on TV and hearing your story and hopefully getting on the right plan and just to improve slowly. Even small changes can make a big difference, I know. So thank you very much for coming on again. This is Erica DELSIGNORE. I am the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and we help people find more leads through video marketing and social media. And you've been watching Great Minds, Great Marketing. Thanks again, Kelly, for coming on today, and I can't wait to see you the next time you're on TV.
Of course. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.